Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming to this session, and I'm really sorry that I'm not there in person, but the reasons for that will become evident as I speak. So, my name's Ellie Harrison, and I'm an artist and a lecturer in contemporary art practices at Duncan Jordanstone College of Art. And a lot of the work that I've made over the last 6 years has been a response to the challenges that we are facing and the challenges that we are likely to face over the course of the next century as a result of climate change. So for me, it's the role of the artist not to be an expert in any one thing, but to have an interest and a knowledge of many different fields so that they are able to stand back and see the bigger picture of what's really going on, and to observe and attempt to address the massive contradictions that I think emerge in our society through a lack of joined up or long-term thinking. And I also believe it's the role of the artist to take the lifestyle decisions that might not be possible for anybody in a less privileged position. So I'm not in Dundee right now because I'm working on a research project called the Glasgow Effect, which you might have heard of, some of you. It caused quite a controversy when it launched at the start of the year. But the central premise of the project is that I'm not going to travel outside Glasgow for a whole year. And more than that, as a little extra challenge, I'm also trying not to go in a vehicle at all, and I've succeeded so far. So this project is an attempt to address the compromises that were present in my own lifestyle and to see what happens when I actually try to live my values and to practice what I preach, and the impact that that has on other aspects of my life. So, as you might have heard, the Glasgow Effect came out of a research grant application to Creative Scotland with a working title of Think Global, Act Local. And in that application, I described the project as an essential critique of the internationalisation agenda that permeates various levels of public policy and funding, which I think is the antithesis of what needs to be done to actually address climate change. Because in this internationalised world, a circle of global elites, particularly art world professionals and academics, operate as though they are above the moral imperative to reduce our carbon emissions, believing it's okay for them to travel because what they do and say is so important. And nowhere is this more evident than in our own university's internationalisation strategy, which has been our guiding force from 2012 to 2017. And the central ambitions of this strategy are to take Dundee to the world, which really is all about power, and to bring the world to Dundee, which, let's just face it, is all about bringing in the money. We all know that it's the shameless pursuit of these two things over the last 350 odd years, both power and money, that has led us into the mess that we are in now, where we have record levels of CO2 in the atmosphere and a century of dangerous climate change ahead of us. So I want to ask you today, after 2017, what our next strategy will be. And given the outcomes of last year's Paris Agreement on climate change, which, as we all know, is to attempt to limit global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees C, should we not be thinking seriously about using sustainability, environmental and financial, as our guiding principle? Because if there's to be any hope of our species meeting the ambitious target set in Paris, then surely it's our universities that should be leading the way. And instead of following the money within a dysfunctional system, which we obviously currently are, we should become role models for sustainable thinking by taking a much smarter, more realistic view of the future towards which we are actually heading. Because this is a future, whether we like it or not, where immigration laws are only likely to tighten and where travel limitations aimed at carbon reduction may need to come into force. So real long-term thinking should be focused on finding a truly sustainable financial model within the university's locale. Not only would this reduce our carbon emissions, but it would also help increase meaningful engagement with local communities, sharing knowledge and making us all more resilient to the many problems that we are likely to face.